Welcome back, everybody. This week we're going to do the install of our Charlie Show contest winner. Kyle Predmore sent his car to me, actually, and he included a bunch of candy. So shout out to Kyle for all the snacks and goodies that were included with the box. That was amazing. My kid is stoked. Kyle chose the XR10 Pro 160 and the new G3 13.5, so we're going to get that all wired up and installed into his rig for him. Do a little kind of up close and personal with Kyle's rig. Brand new 160 amp XR10 and a 13.5 G3 version. I guess it's the G3 stands for Generation 3, and it's the V10 motor, which is the name of this series of the motor. It's a little confusing sometimes with the letter and number soup. But let's pop these bad boys open and take a look. We'll just throw this stuff back to them. But there you have it. Oh, so shiny, so fresh, so new. There it is. V10 Xerun 13.5, fresh out the box. Looks good. I like the way that all this stuff is laser etched onto the stator, if you will. And what's new about the V10 spec motors is that the sanctioning body rules have changed a little bit, that the numbers are more universal across the board for the different manufacturers. So everybody got to kind of revamp tooling and come out with a modernized spec motor that's easier for the tech officials to tech and all that. So there you go. And up next, the speed control. Pop this bad boy open too. XR10 160 amp. Now this is one of the more durable speed controls that I've come across. I've heard horror stories what people put these through, and I actually have, the professor has one of these installed in his 4x4 short course and runs it with a 4-pole short course motor. Not advised, but so far so good. I figure if he's going to blow it up, at least I'll be around to see the whole thing happen, so that's good. Wires are already soldered onto the speed control, so half my work is done. But what I am going to do is pop on one of the aftermarket or upgraded power caps that are on it. Some more cool stuff in the box. You see instruction manuals, decals, shrink tubing, some zip ties, but the speed control itself. There we go. Get that out of there. And most importantly, don't forget to check the packaging. A lot of people miss out on all the extra stuff that comes in the box. This is the double-ended harness for your programming device. You do not use your receiver wire. You use this guy into your programming boxes. And it comes with a spare fan, just in case you need a spare fan. There it is, brand new XR10 Pro 160. Fresh out of the box. Looks good. Soldered all up. And like I said, we're going to put the 4-pack cap on here. I have a couple of those in my stash of stuff for a little extra durability, reliability, and some bonus. So here's Kyle's Nerdmobile. It's a TC7, if I'm not mistaken, and he was nice enough to add in some HOBBYWING decals. I didn't put that on there, it came that way. And you see, that's Kyle right there. He is the #1 fanboy of all things RC, Pro Nerd Dad. Because he's gonna do 13.5 racing, which is non-timing class. They're gonna have pretty tall pinion gears on all these guys. So we're gonna probably position this guy with the motor all the way forward and the speed control pretty close to the motor, just for the sake of install stuff. So we are going to remove the stock power capacitor and install one of the upgraded capacitors, the quad pack of caps. Iron's heating up right now. Let that side cool down for just a minute. A little bit of pressure. The wire is buried down in that solder a bit, so you got to get it to flow. Give it a little bit of a pull. Comes out. The speed control looks like it's going to sit right about there, and I got a little bit of interference with that motor tab and the bulkhead just down in there, so keep an eye on that. If I come off, I can get that back there. So we'll leave some space there for the speed control to, in case there's an accident or contact, you don't get speed control on bulkhead contact. We're going to do it around here. And Kyle's receiver will have to be very small and stand on its side, which is fine. The benefit of the power caps will be well worth the hassle of the install. I got a little bit of space behind the speed control that the cap can go, so I'm letting it overhang that direction just a little bit.
guys, route them straight and up. Negative will be right there. Probably come down for wiggle room purposes. With power cap wires, it's good for them to be short, but they don't have to be ultra short. They're protecting from a lot of things, but mainly they need to be connected cleanly. There needs to be enough of them to do the job. Power capacitors protect the speed control from ripple current that occurs while the speed control is switching itself on and off to make the motors run. That ripple current is basically turned into heat by the speed control and hurts the speed control a little bit, and the power capacitors catch all of that. So the bigger the caps are, the more protection you get, and the longer your speed control lasts. Now over time, the power caps actually wear out a little bit, so it's good to replace them, every 100,000 miles type of thing. Once a season, it's a good idea. Got a big race coming up, you haven't replaced your power caps in a while, it's certainly a good idea to replace your power caps. That is not on there at all. It needs more solder. Very hot. That is not pro enough for Kyle. I'm going to re-pro that a bit. Make it look nice. Half the battle in racing RC cars is how clean and nice everything looks, so that when you show off your Nerdmobile, it's like, oh man, that's not just some sort of toy car, that's RC. I'm kidding. If you guys have seen some of my own cars that I drive around, they're jalopies. You're like, that works? Sometimes. Little pre-tin that time. We'll give this wire solder someplace to go. Mixing, I have lead-free solder being mixed in here with lead-free solder. They're not always happy to work together in harmony. Alright, and then we got wiggle room for all the wires. I like to have a little bit of wiggle room for all the wires in case something gets tugged on. If there's a hard crash, something along those lines, that's always a good thing to have a little bit of wire jankiness, so that for future installs, whatever the case may be. And then I'm going to put a piece of tape right across here as well. So that is almost touching the top. So I'm pushing it back to the top deck, sliding it back towards the motor, then I'm sliding this front edge to the chassis edge. Should be nice and square. Lay that back down in there. Because it'd be a shame to do it like this short, and then something happens and you can't use it anymore. So we'll go about like that length. Cut that one. So I'm going to do, as I do the motor wire, the shortest one first, because I think that you'll get one wire that's a little shorter, and that's okay. It's the total amount of wire in your vehicle. Ideally, you want everything to be equally short, but if you can shorten up one over the other, that's okay too. Point this guy uphill just a little bit. This guy's gonna do the same right there. See, look how much wire you have left when you shorten these. Tons of wire. You can rewire 2-3 speed controls with this stuff. It's great. Ideally, when you're tinning wires, you don't want them to be pointing up and down like this, because when you put the wire or when you put the solder in there, it's going to run down the wire, and you don't want that. So if you have these are spring-loaded tweezer guys, just to keep the wire from pointing straight up in the air, that can be very helpful. See how the solder's popping around like that? That means it's the iron's a little bit too hot for what we're doing here. But I've always said it's better to be too hot on your iron, not hot enough. Even then, it doesn't quite. Very hot. I think I just saw a solder ball shoot directly into the motor. It looks like it happened again. They're going everywhere. Charlie, turn your soldering iron down. Ah, too easy. I like to live life dangerously. That's very hot. And now, for my final trick, the sensor plug goes on the bottom in there, which is going to be tricky. I think I'm just going to slide it. The lock directional guy is on top. Goes up. So you can line that up, get it in the grommet, and then push on it gently on the outside edges. Should seat right in. This is why it's good to put the sensor wire on before you start. There we go. Got it. That's these guys. And then I'm just gonna zip tie that guy back. Don't be scared to use zip ties. Zip ties save lives. You don't really want to make this guy long enough that you can go all the way over to here. So you're gonna make them just go right about there, and then that can't reach. This is one of the few times that you want that to be the case. This guy, same thing, should be that way. there you have it. Kyle's TC7 ready for some action. He knows how to do the calibration process and all that. He does, I don't have a hero radio system, which is totally fine. Kyle's nerd status. But there it is, nice and clean. Speed control is at the edge of the chassis, but not touching the top deck. You got a little bit of clearance between the edge of the motor tab and the bulkhead, and there should be just enough room for a receiver right there. At least I should. So, I'm gonna add a zip tie to this guy just to make sure that it doesn't get janked up or unplugged during operation. Pretty good setup. So once again, thanks again to Kyle Predmore for entering the Charlie Show contest. We're gonna do some more stuff like that and hopefully get some more winners and some more sweet installs done.